This is one of those small brushes that I've got, so I'm just going to use Indian yellow, and I might just mock in some of those curves that I really see, some of them are really nice ones, going over my highlight, but only on a few, not on many. So don't get carried away there. Right, we don't want to cover our highlight too much, just at this stage. But we do want to get it going a little bit here, I think. So there's just a few kind of really, I think, sort of strong lines that break up that highlight, and then they disappear. So I'll just pop them in now. And run a little bit of colour down that edge as well, on this side. I want another brush. Both these have Indian yellow on. I just want one that actually has more to it. If I'm honest, like more paint on it, because the little brush is lovely, but it doesn't hold much. Okay, need to let him set a little bit, as it were. So let's jump over to this area here while we let that dry a bit. I mean, in a way, this is a fun part. You can actually almost, now that you've got all your colours and blocked in and stuff, almost finish off each piece. You could just start going around the whole painting. It depends what style you like to and how you do things. You know what, I just noticed I'm going to paint up here. I saw a little piece of petal I've never put in. So I might just pop that in now. It invaded my view. I tend to, I wouldn't go over a whole flower like this. I'd probably do something a bit more small first and then sort of grow out from it. I tend to like to feel like I make some headway a little bit and get an idea that things are working out okay. And so I like to sort of concentrate on one thing for a little bit more time and get that looking better, and then I can move on happily. Now here, through here, really important. There's some highlights there you definitely want to keep. You don't get those back, so make sure you don't paint over them. They're just kind of little squares that you need to make sure you keep little areas. hear a little something in the background. Let's just quickly talk about that, shall we? How exciting. How many minutes old? Minutes old.
One month today.
Oh, really?
They're trying to keep her very quiet,
Oh,
but you
don't
may
even
hear
worry.
her burst.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, how lovely. Must be nice being over there and visiting then.
It's darling.
Yeah.
It's really great. It's really great. But you may hear a burst of her mom and her grandmother are Taiwanese.
Oh, okay.
So you may hear a sudden burst of Chinese. If the baby cries, you may hear all of a
Okay.
sudden these voices. So,
Alright. Well, that would be Mandarin then.
yes, it's Mandarin. Yeah, they
I
call
like
her
Taiwan.
little Ren Ren, which means little round round. She's so cute. They're cute.
There you
But
go,
her
Mum.
real name is Emerson.
Yeah.
So, Emerson
Round round.
Yuan Rong, but they call her round round.
Oh,
She's 6 pounds.
that's super funny.
6 pounds. That's pretty heavy.
She's tiny.
No, not from a month old. Yeah, my husband's going, really, 6 pounds? But he's thinking that's big. I'm like, no, not for Mum. Because,
No, it's like,
you know, you can get a 7 pound baby when this comes out, which is kind of a struggle, I would have thought. But, I mean, but you know, that's not after a month. She's tiny. If she's
tiny.
Chinese, she's going to be a tiny little thing.
yes,
Little dot.
yes. She has these gorgeous long fingers, you know.
Oh, does she have lots of dark hair?
She has fuzz.
Oh.
And she has these big, amazingly round eyes that are still blue.
Oh, that's...
Dark blue.
That's
which I didn't realize. All babies have blue eyes. When
yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I mean, that would be fun if it stayed, but probably not.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. But she has her daddy's nose and her daddy's mouth and her daddy's chin. So, like, from the middle up, she's her mom, and from the middle down, she's her dad.
Honestly, Eurasian babies are the best. I mean, they just look so great.
Beautiful. I mean,
when they grow up, and it's just like very, very nice combo, I think. Okay, so that's a little bit of yellow done for there. Now, I have actually mixed up a little bit of orange, which is cadmium yellow and cadmium red. I am a cadmium girl now. I haven't used that new paint that they have out that's cadmium free, but I do intend to. I think that would be a good thing. So I just want to put in a little bit more detail here and there. It's a little bit darker. Like I say, sometimes I sort of, I like to sort of build up one place a little bit more so I can just see that everything's working right and move on to something else. There's a few colours up in here as well, actually. I should have captured better. There's some more blue and pink up there. Probably done a bit too much yellow. Almost. But nobody will know. And even this, what I'm doing is, see, there's those sort of lines of colour that I've done, because this brush is fine. I'm not going over the entire line. You won't see it, but I'm actually just going over one edge of it. So it's actually orange, and then underneath is this sort of a yellow show through. Just slightly, I thought I'd tell you that. So even now it's sort of, rather than painting over the yellow that I did, I just do a little line of it, just sort of off to the edge, and start getting a bit of some form that way. There are actually some darker lines of colour that'll help make that look sunlit a little bit. And these ones again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm actually putting my colour to one side. One of those things that you'd have to see the painting in person to see, you know. To one side of that line there. Now this line will change to a more sort of pink colour, but we can put in a little base of orange for the moment. Now I do have a little bit of, well, you know, it's my palette, so I have lots of colours on there. I have a little bit of, I'm going to pop in a little bit of blue that I see. It's just it's either ultramarine or it's cobalt deep. I'm undecided as to which it is. But it's a nice sort of flat bluey grey. I just want to, if you do have a look up at the top there, you will see there's some real changes in colours coming through, and that will be interesting. So I might just pop in a few of those. Any excuse to add a bit of colour, like a different colour, I always take. And I'll even do something like, if I have a look at a painting picture, I'll even decide, and normally obviously say that the light is coming in from the top. I can't see the whole painting, so it's coming in like from here, but it's essentially coming in from the top. So I might decide that all the top of my flower is going to be warm and all the bottom of it's going to be cool, so I will also do that. You saw that, you would have seen that in, if you have a look at my pink Waratah, I did it at the very beginning of COVID. I called it COVID, and it's on my website, and it kind of looks like a little creature scuttling across the page. It was a bit weird in the end, and came to life in unexpected ways. But he is painted cool on one side and warm on the other. So all the colours I chose for this warm side, you know, warm yellow, warm reds, warm anything, and then all my reds, yellows, and, well, actually I didn't use yellows in that, well, a little bit, but pinks were all cool on the sort of the side away from the sun, as it were. So I'll do that quite often. I like doing that. It's very subtle, and you possibly wouldn't necessarily notice. Well, you don't notice it unless you get it pointed out, I think. And of course, when you're in person, you'll see it a bit more.
You even do that with the yellows, Denise, the cool yellows,
yep,
and the warmer yellows?
I would. I would just really keep it as separate as possible. Where any yellow on the south side, for instance, would be the coolest yellow and stuff. And I think it's it works really well, I have to say. I've been pleased when I've done it. This will need a good photo for you to see. So a little bit of blue up there. And I'm going to grab a little bit of magenta, because it's a bit more of a peachy pink up the top there, and that is easily done with yellow and magenta. So magenta it is. Just got to get it strong enough and not too strong. And then a little bit later I'll come in maybe with my flat brush and I'll sort of just maybe blend a tiny bit here and there. But for now, I can just sort of use my brush. Just a bit dark through there anyway. Little bits down the bottom. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to continue with, I think, that magenta there. That was really good. I think it's quite a nice colour from here. And a tiny bit of that just up through here, up in this area, just up above that highlight. Whilst it's wet, I'm going to put a stronger wash of magenta in parts of it, and that way it does the work for me and blends it. So let's see, I just want to focus on this bit a little bit more. So I always kind of have, even though it's out of focus, this area on the main photo, we've got other photos that are in focus. I tend to have them both up, the one that's in focus as well. And so I still have the other one, the main one, as a reference, I think. Sort of helpful, even though, so because it's out of focus, it's more like you're just looking at tones of colour really, and general colouring. So I'm back onto the Indian yellow, and there's a sort of a shadow that comes in through here. And we'll just do with that for the moment. And through there. I'm just going to pop it over here as well because I know it's really, we want this to be really bright. I've left some highlight right here, but there is not a highlight there, but there is a lighter part, and so I've just left it as a highlight for now, and I'll go back over it and introduce colour into it a little bit later. Just almost like to remind myself. I'm going to have to let this dry a little bit before we come back to it, so it won't sort of bleed too much then. Okay. So you notice I'm kind of doing all the top bit, seeing as that's where I've focused my photo for the moment. And so, let's see, I'm just grabbing the next photo that I want to use. I'm going to cover that because it is a little damp. I'm going to leave up here, there's a little bit up there, if you have a look at your photo, whilst it is blurry in the photo you can still see there's sort of a little part of the petal that's a little bit thinner, so it casts a little bit bluer, interestingly, so I'm not going to paint over that. I'm going to just leave it, but I can do all of this. And I may, let's see, I will use it just as a tiny sort of highlight edge on that top edge there, and it comes into that point. And then find my flat brush and just run that up here like that. Give it a dab. I'm just picking up a little bit of green. It could be any green on your palette, really, whatever you have. Because I've got, it's quite a muted green that I have. I only have 2 on my palette. But because my brush has got a little bit of yellow on it, it's warmed it up a bit. I'm just going to pop that in there. Dab it off a bit.